Hello, everybody. Welcome back for another Share Your Experience episode. I'm Holly, one of the conscious agents here with Reality Sandwich. And today I am joined by Jose. We are going to be talking about Ibogaine, a substance I really am always eager to learn more about. So thank you so much for being here, Jose. Tell us a little bit about where you are, what you do.
Yeah, no, thanks for the invitation. It's really a pleasure to be here with you guys today. Yeah, so my name is Jose Insunza. I'm from Tijuana, Mexico, and I'm a paramedic and a firefighter from here from the area. I've been working in the emergency field since 2008, and mostly working in the ambulance and the rescue machines, trying to achieve as much certificates on the rescue, urban rescue, and also I got in 2015 being able to become an instructor and a lot of the credentials that I achieved. So that's basically my professional background, right?
Yeah. Okay. And now you have kind of expanded your services into a pretty new and exciting area.
Yes. So I'm gonna go chronological, kind of since the
Okay.
beginning, and
Yeah.
basically everything kind of started almost at the same moment. So I became
Okay.
certificate as a EMT in 2008, and then I met Ibogaine or the Iboga in 2009, right?
Okay.
So it was kind of a year after myself being a volunteer and volunteer in the fire department and all the stuff. You know, like it's your first year. You're a rookie, right? You need to go through
Yeah.
everything before you get hired. That's kind of the things roll here in Mexico. So, um, yeah, I was working. Lucky me, I got hired from these ambulances, this company of ambulances, and I was working one weekend, and we was moving one patient from one hospital to another hospital. Right, it was an easy, basic patient. So when I got to deliver the patient into the hospital, I met there one of my old teachers from the paramedic school, right? So I meet him there, and he was like really excited to see me working in the ambulance finally, and he was like, um, "You speak Spanish, you speak English, right?" He was like, "You speak English," and I'm like, "I can communicate a little bit." So he was like, "I've been working with these type of treatments, and I need somebody that has your background, and they can help me to sit in front of this patient doing a detox process." And I was
Mm,
like, "Yeah, for sure. Like whatever I got to learn, like for
yeah.
me it was exciting. I was like, let's move forward." So a couple nights after that, I got invited from him to this Ibogaine clinic. Right, I didn't know I was stepping on. So
And did you know anything about Ibogaine at this point? You'd never heard this
not
was
even the word. Like I was on the
okay.
road with him, and he was telling me, "Yeah, don't worry, we're gonna give him this medication, and then the patient is gonna stop using opiates." And I'm like, "What?" He
Okay.
was like,
Sounds
"Yeah,
good.
yeah." It's like, and I'm like, "Wait a minute, like they never teach us about this in school. So you're
Yeah.
telling me that this exists?" And he was like, "Yeah, this stuff exists." So, like I say, I was doing voluntary shifts at the fire department here in Tijuana, and we had a lot of overdose. Right, there's a lot of opiates, a lot of fentanyl. So we were seeing daily a lot of overdose.
Mhm.
So for me to learn that there was something they can kind of just
Yeah.
reduce withdrawals, I was like, what the hell is going on, right? Like, so I got more trapped by this substance. So finally we arrived to this house. It was a beautiful house in front of the beach, and there was just like four people there, like the providers, my teacher, the patient, and her husband. um and yeah, basically it was this woman. She was in the early 30s. She had a really hardcore opiate addiction, and she wanted to just stop it. Right, she
Yeah.
just want to get clean and just get rid of everything that comes along with addiction, right?
Yeah.
So um yeah, I was able to witness that night my first Ibogaine treatment. So it was like a really magical night, right? Like literally, it was a lot of rain, it was like a storm and lightnings, and it was like then the lights went off, and then it got to this point where this girl told me, who's the guy that is next to you? And it was just me and her in the room, and I was like, what guy? Yeah, there's an African guy next to you. And I was like, so I got really scared. I was like, what? Like, what do you mean? And she was like,
Where
yeah, he's just
exactly?
there. And she was like, but don't worry, he's here to protect us. And I'm like, okay, like, okay,
Yeah,
you're
hi,
tripping. It's all
friend.
right.
Yeah.
It's friend. It's on our
Yeah.
side, right? So anyway, so that night for me was like really eye opening.
Hmm.
I started doing a lot of research during the night, and I find a lot of stuff about Ibogaine that I didn't know. Like the so basically for the people that doesn't know, is this molecule that it grows in this plant in Gabon, right? Which is in
Hmm.
the um, and the plant is called Tavernet Iboga, and the alkaloid that it comes from that plant is ibogaine, right? So basically, back in those days, there was not much information about it. There was no clinical guidelines. There was nothing to sit on it or to read how the protocols or the dosification. So there was a few web page sharing some information. So I start kind of reading everything and learning more about. And the thing that more got me curious is the fact that it has a cardiac toxicity, right? Like, so I was like, okay, so is this substance that they are willing to do that they know that can kill them, and
Yeah.
they're willing to do that to get healed? So that was like kind of my introduction, to what addiction it is and to what these
Right.
people it was. So it was like,
Willing
and
to take that risk too.
yeah, and
Yeah.
for me it was like, holy shit. So this is like,
Yeah.
this is more profound than we as a society see, and we're kind of learning more about it, but it's a really intense experience. So I got more and more trapped about it, and that fact about cardiotoxicity, it got me like really curious about, okay, there is a risk, and then I read that there was like a high risk of death, you know. So I was like, okay, so these people is they're trying to make their life better, and they're willing to risk this, so there should be something here, right? So anyways, that's
Mhm.
how what that night passed. Then after that night, the next day, I was just for a couple hours with this woman after her journey, in which she was sharing all this stuff to me, that I was like, what? Like, she was kind of like, she shared to me that she spent her whole life like in a movie, and she had the control in her hand to be able to kind of stop moments where life was being really traumatic, and being able her she being able, sorry, of change the perspective of what is was happening in that moment. So that
Mhm.
was creating healing to her,
Yeah.
and then this sense of guiltiness, of this sense of hate into herself, it was moving forward. So she was sharing all this stuff, and I was like, holy shit. So like, it's not just the physical part, right? It's
Yeah.
just psychological and spiritual part there. It links and it goes together. And then I asked her, and how is your withdrawal? She was like, I don't have any withdrawals, I don't have any cravings. And I'm like, what? Like, that was like 24 hours already without opiates. And she was doing, I'm not gonna say great, because she was
Right. Still physically
recuperating. Yeah, you could
detoxing in a
see,
sense.
yes, but not feeling bad.
Right. Right.
And then not feeling depression, but feeling like the release of the depression, like getting her chest open, getting her throat open, and being able to express the stuff that it was just there for a lot of time. So anyways, like, that was kind of my introduction to it, and I was like, I want to keep doing this. Like, what is this? This is something different, right? And going a few months before that, I have done my first LSD journey,
Oh,
like
okay.
just
Okay.
4 months before my introduction with Ibogaine. So that was my first psychedelic experience. So then I was like, there is something here,
Yeah, you're like
you know?
sparking interest now.
Yes,
Like,
yes. Like
okay,
kind of
what is
my,
happening?
yeah, my consciousness was starting to kind of opening a little bit
Mhm.
and trying to not being too squarey. So it was like, this is like really cool, you know? Like I was like that. This is fucking badass. So anyways, I want to
Yeah.
keep doing this. So
What is going on?
yes, so I raised my hand to my teacher and I told, if you can please keep me inviting me to these sessions, I'll be happy to go and help you and see how we can just do things better. Because since that first night, I saw a lot of things or opportunity areas that we could getting done better, and a
Yeah.
matter of, so I was seeing like there was a risk in their life to going to do the journey. The least that we can do, it was to mitigate all the risks,
Right. Right. Provide the
like
safest
the
container
safety
possible.
container, the safety set and setting, like
Well, and like
create.
I assume too, you have to be able to vet patients, like even if they could benefit from what Ibogaine offers. It's like, well, you might not be a candidate if you have certain underlying health issues. Like we just can't take this risk, unfortunately. Like all of these things that.
Yes, exactly. And that was kind of the beginning of it, because there was some exclusion criteria, but to be honest, it was really not accurate.
Mhm.
But
Right.
anyways, it kind of helped a lot to draw the beginning of what we have right now for exclusion criteria, which is really minimum to what it used to be like 30 years ago, which is great, right?
Mhm.
But yeah, so this sense of kind of integrity and ethical, it brought me to start creating protocols for IBM. So going more forward, a few years of working with more IBM clinics and serving the medicine, I got to a point where I met Sandy Harman, which she was my teacher in life. She passed away 5 years ago, but she teach me a lot of stuff, right? And mostly about IBM in life. But anyways, I worked with her in, yeah, she was pretty rude one day, and she told me, Jose, your ego is in the sky. You think you know everything about IBM. You're serving this medicine, and you haven't done it. So she was like, you don't know anything, so get ready because you're gonna do it in a week. And I was like, what? And she was like, yeah, you're gonna do it. And I was like, no, I don't need it, you know. And but I knew really deep inside of me that this could be beneficial for a lot of humans, not
Mhm.
just for people that is struggling with addiction, right?
Yes.
Because we're talking about memory, trauma, stress, all these kind of emotions, right? Anyways, so I knew they could be good for me, but I was like really scared, and I was scared about dying, like because I know what can happen. So she was like, "Yeah, you have been telling all your clients that everything is gonna be okay. That you're just gonna now you need to tell your own speech to yourself." And I was
Yeah.
like, "So there's like a big learning experience, like." So
Time
here
to
we
walk your talk now. Gotta get.
exactly. Now you gotta step up and yeah,
Yeah.
right. Um, so, anyways, it got the day to the big day, super gray and rainy day. I remember uh, it was not the best week for me. I mean, you probably know this because for medicine, right? But sometimes when you're about to do medicine, shit happens, and the medicine start even before you start taking the medicine.
Yeah, it totally does. That's funny.
So
Funny way to
that
say
was
that, but yeah.
so that was my beginning, right? I was like, holy damn, like I was about nothing to quit, right? Like I'm not doing this shit. Like, anyways, like
Yeah.
all all the drama you can go through
Yeah.
before going to
Every
medicine.
excuse you can think of to
Yes,
not
right. And,
have to do this. Yeah.
yeah. So and I was pretty young, so I wasn't really clear in my head that that was part of the process.
Yeah.
I was just a kid, and I was like, "Fuck this." And anyways, uh, but I did trust Sandy, and I knew she was doing something right. So I just left myself lean into her care. So, anyways, but for that night, I had like five doctors, a bunch of paramedics and
Like, I want
nurses.
the whole team here.
Yeah, I had like the whole dream team there sitting in front of me, and I was like, "You guys are not leaving me alone any single
Yeah.
second," and
Monitor everything.
yeah, everything, and even glucose. Like, yeah, super. I was being a bitch, to be honest. And sorry, sorry for my French. But anyways, I decided, yeah, to do it. I took the first dose, what we used to call the test dose. So it was a small amount of Ibogaine of the total dose to see how fast you metabolize and how's your tolerance. So that gives you a lot of information on how much you can go through the medicine.
What is a dose like? I'm not even sure I understand how do you dose something like this.
So it's a dose, right? And
Okay.
we encapsulate it,
Okay.
and it's milligrams per kilogram. Just
Okay.
to give you an average, for example, for the foundational program that is 5 days, we work between 8 milligrams to 11 milligrams per kilogram.
Okay.
For
Okay.
the detox program, we can be working up to 30 milligrams per kilogram in different times. So it's a lot.
Yeah.
It's
Okay.
more. Anyways, that day, Sandy cut me up 16 milligrams per kilogram, which was a lot. It's like more than gram and a half. Um, I took the first dose, and yeah, after 20, 30 minutes, I start feeling it, right? And it's really gradual. So it was like I started feeling my body really warm, um, really spacey, really light. And that was kind of the beginning of it. And I was like, okay, now it's kind of when you're kind of feeling drunk at the beginning of,
Yeah.
but
Like
not,
come up buzz.
yes, like buzz and really light and really relax your muscles and everything. Um, then we continue with all the dosage, and yeah, by 2 hours after, I was like really, really into the journey. So I begin. They call it like the. I think they call it like the major psychedelic in the world, or like the strongest, right? I don't. I think can be defined like that because how strong physically it is, because it takes a lot of you physically.
Hmm.
But I like to say that it's really different from others. Like each of them has their own spirit, right? So each
Yeah.
of them has their own intelligence, or teaching, and they show you different things. So I begin is really intense on your body, right? It has all these side effects, like you get this ear buzzing, wow, 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 like that, really
Okay.
constant.
Yeah.
You have a lot of auditory hallucinations. So basically, you're laying
Mhm.
down, you have your blind mask, and you can be hearing there is like 100 people in the room with you. When you take the blind, there is nobody there. You know, um, it also creates ataxia, which is the inability to control your muscles. So that's why there needs to be somebody there in the room with you, because if you need to get out, go to a bathroom or something, you need
Right.
help. Like
Yeah.
basically, you're like a little baby trying to walk again. So it gets really challenged. Um, it creates nausea, a lot of nausea. It creates
Mhm.
vomit. Um, and more than a psychedelic, it really does, but more than a psychedelic is defined as an onirogenic. Then
Mhm.
onirogenic is a substance that can induce dreams, right?
Yeah.
So you can be in this state where you're laying down, You close your eyes, you relax, and you go into this stage of awakening dream. But as soon as you open your eyes, you wake up in this world again. So it's being
Uh-huh.
kind of between both worlds,
You can
you
like go
know,
in and out, kind of
go
come.
in and out. Exactly. Yeah. The challenging thing is the basically is really brutal physically. You cannot do anything. They just being laid down, so
Right.
you
Yeah.
that's part of the letting go that you
Yeah, that's
have
what,
to
yeah.
have. Is
Really
not
have to
just
relinquish control to be able to
yes,
immerse yourself in that experience.
yes, and feel comfortable with that, because it's gonna
That's
last a
tough.
long time.
Yeah,
Yes,
that's tough.
yes,
That's like the one thing we can control, right? In our day-to-day
exactly.
life. But if that's, yeah, that's tough.
Yeah, that goes away. So all
Got to be ready
coping.
to surrender.
Exactly, get ready to surrender, right? And I think that's what it gets more challenging because it's physically too. It's
Mhm.
like, and you stay in that stage for a good amount of time. Um, so, anyways, that was like the beginning of it. Um, when I started feeling it more and more intense, that I lay down, I just felt the gravity in my body really, really heavy, and I just felt like, okay, I don't need to move. I can just stay here, right? So, um, I had an intention to go in through the medicine. Uh, that At that moment that I did my first IV treatment, I had worked for almost 4 years already with the medicine, serving it. So I was hearing a lot of experiential, um, yeah, things from people, and some people was sharing with me they had the ability to contact somehow with their ancestor or people that is not here with them. And I was like, that was one of my intentions, that I was a rookie, obviously. I was like getting asked to see that, and so part of my journey at the beginning of going through really really deep into this oneirogenic effect, I was trying to go and see my granddad. Um, that he died like 5 years before I was doing the medicine. So I wanted to see him and ask him something. So I got to a point where I closed my eyes and I just felt I was like a drop of water going to this lake. And suddenly I was in this like boat, you know,
Mhm.
and there was a lot of like souls there, and I couldn't see like their face. It was just their souls, and I was just looking for my grandpa. I was like, okay, I'm here. I'm with them.
Yeah.
Let's go. Let's go and look for him. So my grandpa, he was a cowboy, so I was looking for a guy with this with his cowboy hat. So, anyways, I was there for a good amount of time, and I didn't saw him. you know I just saw a lot of souls, a lot of souls, a lot of souls. And suddenly I start feeling in my body like a lot of heat and a sense of needing to throw up, right?
Mhm.
So I was starting to purge, and when I was starting to purge, every time that I was purging, I was going into my birthday.
Mm.
I was going through the same day that my mom was giving birth of me. At the same
Wow.
moment that the doctor was pulling me out,
Yeah.
you know, and I like it was crazy, like and then I was laying down and then like sweating and feeling like what's going on, and then closing my eyes and then suddenly again nausea and then again, and when I was throwing up, I was hearing myself crying like a baby, like this, and I was
Just
like,
being
what?
reborn over and over again.
Yeah, and then like in this cycle, getting reborn, 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 reborn. Um. So, anyways, that how was my whole night was. It was really
Wow.
brutal. It was really intense. I remember being like 6 a.m., 7 a.m. I think I took a nap of about 2 hours, an hour. Finally, I was able to calm down my nausea. My chest was on fire because all the purging, all the pressure that I was doing. Um, but I was having a sense of peace, really, really intense sense of peace that I never had experienced before. Never, 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 never. Like, and I was like, okay, I don't know what's going on, but I love what I'm feeling right now, right? And then my head, it was pretty empty. Like there was not thoughts. It was super empty and present. And even that I know that I saw a lot of things during the night that it didn't have any sense or it wasn't kind of clear for me. I knew that something was left there. That something was like I was able to release the stuff there that I didn't even remember, right?
Mhm.
Um, so that's what we call the gray day, right? The next day after IBM, they call it the gray day or the integration day, and you basically feel like you just got hit by a truck. It's
You've really
like a
been
crazy,
through it.
yeah, it's like a really bad hangover, you know. For some people it's really challenging, for some people it isn't. For me it's not challenging at all because I have ADHD, you know. I'm not medicated. I have, thanks God, I have never been medicated. um, but with Ibogaine, something that I find out that I love of it is like the after, my mind is so empty, and that's so blissful for somebody that
Right.
is like all
What a
over the place.
relief.
Yes, it's like, oh my God, I can just sit here and stay here and just exist
Wow.
without thinking I need to do this or I need to do this, I left this, blah 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 blah. So I was like that for I think a couple days, you know, and I was like, I don't care anything, I just care about myself, you know? And then, boom, it was like, oh, I need to care about myself. So it was like this internal dialogue
Yeah,
of
yeah.
myself, loving myself, caring myself, you know? And then starting the process. We often get asked, like, oh, I mean, how long it lasts,
Right.
right? So the acute phase is going to last you 24 hours, 36 hours, but the benefits are going to start after that, you know,
When you're back
and
to normal life
back to
and
normal life, you know. And I think that's when the experience it starts. That's
yeah,
how I
it's
see it,
like
you know.
the
That's
walking integration. Now you have to go back out into the world and apply this in your at work with your family, with how you treat yourself. Like,
exactly right, how you integrate, how you react to the external world,
mhm.
how you do the job that you got to, you know. So um and was a really life changing for me. I began especially because like I mentioned, I was diagnosed with ADHD since I was really young, and at school they didn't have the ability to manage me. So since a really young age, I got told that I was stupid and I was dumb, and I believe it, you know. And it was so challenging for me to go into school because I did believe for a long, long time that I was dumb and then I was stupid and I couldn't do anything, you know. So then I went through I began, and it kind of switched something really physiological into my head when just right after that I kind of started achieving more and more stuff and really easy, and my cognition changed. But it was not just the fact that it made me smarter, it just changed my relationship within myself,
Right.
you
Yes.
know, the way that I was seeing myself. and the way that I was caring about myself, or even sharing love with myself, So that when everything really starts for me after that journey, and a lot of work, a lot of integration. Um, the beginning of what we're doing right now here in Ambio, uh, I think everything gets resumed to those moments of being really vulnerable, you know, and raising the hand as a man and saying, "Hey, I need help," or I need something, and learning those kind of things in life that we don't get teach, right? We normally just go into the
Mhm.
doctor, to the psychologist, the psychiatrist, and we look for this instant gratification, right? And psychedelics, and especially IBN, are the total opposite from instant gratification, right? And for example, IBN is you're gonna pay the bill first, like you're gonna pay it first, and then you will see like your gratification, right?
But
Like
I
you're
feel
gonna.
like too, even with Ibogaine, like if we look at all the psychedelics, it seems from the stories that I've heard that Ibogaine has quicker results for a lot of people. Like if as far as like when we look at maybe the opioid addiction, right? Like you were saying, like do you witness a lot of people that are looking to detox have really long-term effects after this? Because I don't think we have anything else in the world that can almost turn a light switch in your brain and make you think or feel like I do not want to be addicted anymore. I'm not going to do that anymore. But I hear those stories about Ibogaine.
Yes, that's a great question that you have done. Like, so okay, so IBN is not a cure,
No.
right?
Yes, yes.
It's not a
Definitely
cure,
not a cure.
not a cure, and something really important that we need to share is like the expectations that can people have from this process and from this medicine. So IBN is really helpful to to reduce the physical withdrawals up to 95%, right? They can be still residual withdrawals, but are really minimum. And then also has the ability um, to affect the reward systems in a way that you don't want, um, or you don't have cravings after for a period of time, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then it opens this period that is called the critical period that I bet you have heard about it. Um, so it opens this critical period for this period of time when it's the perfect moment when you can relearn things and modify your perception of life, and that's what we call neuroplasticity, right? And that's where IBM is really has been showing promise, where activates these neurotrophic factors like BDNF and GDNF. That is create neuroplasticity, which is my ability to see the world from my perspective from a different ways, right? And relearn that. So from that, IBM is like super helpful opening that process in that period. But then it goes along with what you shared with me, that is now you need to do your work,
Yeah.
right?
Still have to make
And
choices to not fall back
yes,
into the old patterns. Yeah.
yes. And then from that, we need to really be conscious about what areas we need to work or mitigate to be able to transition to a healthier life. And there is the society, the society, uh, the economical, like there is a few factors there. They play a huge role for somebody that is going into a detox process, and then into a rehab after the detox, right? Um, and these topics are really important for example, what is going on right now in the states. They're pushing this to use it for opiate, which is great, but we also need to understand what are the factors that they're playing. They also perpetuate the way that we have that many addicts in the street, and it's not just about giving ibogaine. You see, we have to work something behind that, right?
Yeah.
So it's the whole spectrum, right?
Well, yeah,
But
people will just get back into the same patterns if we don't have supportive systems on the other
yeah,
side. And
obviously, like we can give them Ibogaine, but if they don't have money to go and buy food,
yeah,
like they're gonna go and get numb again.
yeah, nowhere to
Let's
sleep, nowhere to
yeah,
go. What are you
exactly.
gonna do? Yeah.
And let's not talk about addiction. They're getting numb,
Mm.
and we cannot judge anyone for no willing to feel pain, right? It's like that. We need to be honest to that in the terms and
Mm.
this rhetoric that we offer into what this. So, anyways, going back to your question, it's really hard for us to see the success rate of Ibogaine, because then yes, we do have people come in with relapses, right?
Mhm.
But then should be a relapsing a factor to evaluate um, if it's beneficial or not? Because at the end, I mean, I had clients, they did relapse once, and sometimes they needed that before they stop again,
Right. Yeah.
you know. So it's like this whole consciousness about it, about being really specific in how to evaluate and mitigate addiction. It's a whole context, right? Really, really complex, but it's really cool to be able to do this work and to be able to offer just a different type of approach, and not creating this stigma or these tags, about it. Here in Ambio, we really love to work a lot with harm reduction, so
Mm.
we really try to meet people where they are. So we're not trying to save life, or bring this into our table. No, it's just we're trying to make probably easiest things for people that are struggling over there in terms of addiction, for example.
So what makes Ibogaine safe? Like what does it look like to have a safe container, a safe dose, a safe experience? Because yeah, it is scary to think like
Hmm.
you take a bunch of LSD, you're probably not going to have a heart attack and die or experience anything too physically harmful. You eat a bunch of psilocybin mushrooms, you might get sick and throw up and feel pretty awful. Um, but generally, there's a little bit more caution around the safety of ibogaine. So how do you guys set up a really safe container? What does that look like?
Yeah. So something that we learn is that everything, or not everything, but I will say like 90% of the safetiness of a treatment is related to the preparation. Okay. So what it means that is to be able to do a proper assessment of the person or the candidate who wants to do Ibogaine and evaluate physically and mentally, right, where they are. So a lot of the risks that we have is like certain medical conditions, like heart arrhythmias or metabolic process or that kind of situations that we can still
Mhm.
mitigate the risk. But also, there is a lot of medications that are contraindicated with the use of Ibogaine. So we need to analyze what medications are you taking and stop it prior to the treatment, right? So a lot of the safety net goes into the preparation, and that's where we work a month ahead before the treatment, right?
Okay.
Then talking here about on-site, and I'm gonna kind of outline for you how will be a 5-day program for us.
Yeah. Yeah.
So basically, we have the people arriving in San Diego. Let's say the Monday 9 a.m. They get picked up for one of our drivers. Pick them up, driving to one of our clinics. Then they get settled into the rooms. We show the house. We do some housekeeping things, and then right after that, they assign. consent forms and the contracts and all this paperwork that is super important, for them to
Mhm.
understand what they're going through. And also, we start with vital signs. That's kind of the beginning where nurses start the vital signs and everything. Then we do a welcome circle. Then we have a beautiful lunch here with our chefs. And then right after that, we have AKGs and medical intakes, each of our patients, right? Um, Finishing this process, uh, the whole group goes into what we call the Temazcal. There is a Mexican sweat lodge.
Mhm.
That is kind of the first medicine of the week. That's how we call it, which is it tends to prepare them to the unknown, right? Most of the people hasn't done it, so it's this igloo construction type.
Mhm.
Trevor, one of my business partners, likes to call it a pizza oven, human pizza oven, and it gets hot and it's dark, right? Anyways, this plate is run by this elder Mexica woman who does traditional medicine. They heat these volcanic rocks for hours, and then they create this special tea that they pour into the rocks. This specialty has over 20 plants, something like that. So the tea becomes an steam, and the steam you breathe it and becomes a medicine, right? Anyways, that's the first medicine of the week, and it tends to prepare them to something that is going to get really challenged. It's dark, it's uncomfortable, it's hot, and your head is telling you, what I'm doing over here, let's get out of here. Yeah,
Yeah.
you shouldn't be doing
And
this,
you're
and everything.
detoxing through sweat,
And you're
which
the
is
text.
good. Getting your
Yes,
detox pathways opened up.
yes, and not just physically, also a lot of emotionally, right?
Yeah.
Because they open this space for them to share why is the reason they over here, and calling up to healing and all these beautiful prayers. So it's the environment starts to changing, and the vibe between the groups start changing. So by the time they get out from the sweat lodge, they feel like they left a super heavy bag there already. So that was like the beginning, right? Then right after that, we go again into the house. They do their first IVs, trying to get rehydrated for everything they lost, and they have a dinner, and it's just rest. Next
Mhm.
day, we do start with labs, and then with breath work. Basically, during the medicine, it's just you, the medicine, and breathing, right? It's kind of the only thing you can tap on. So we work a workshop there for breath work for them to learn how to manage the journey and how to create this relationship with the medicine through breathing.
Mhm.
Um, then right after that, we have lunch, and then the IBM prep circle, one-on-ones with our therapeutic support. And by 7 p.m., we start the IV prophylaxis electrolytes. By 8 p.m., we start the first of Ibogaine. And by 10 p.m., everybody is on the Ibogaine treatment room already doing their journey, right? And they stay there for around 12 hours. Next morning, we do another dose of IVs, medical checked out, and then they're free to go to the rooms. Um, that's what we call the gray day, which is a day for
Yeah.
them just to
Go
hang,
rest and
rest, hang out.
journal and snack.
Exactly. Yes. Exactly. Journal. You got it. You got it perfectly.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just about that. And then we get into the next day, which is can be the fourth day, Thursday. Um, that day is yoga in the morning, going back to your body, going stress. Just trying to come back to the earth a little more. And then that day is the 5-MeO DMT experience, which that's another thing, right? That's the closure. And then
Yeah.
next day they go home. But that's kind of the week works through. And now in terms of safetiness, so you have nurses all the time there in the room and in the house with you. Then all the medications that you're bringing, you're gonna handle to us, and we're gonna be providing those.
Okay.
We're going to be taking vital signs 3 times per day. We're going to keep electrolyte prophylaxis. We have heart monitors during the night of the treatment. We have a special what we call YAT crew, which is an IBN assistant therapy crew. There is people really specialize on uh, cardiac events or emergencies. So we have doctors, nurses, paramedics, and those are the people that are just doing the treatments every night, right?
Mhm.
Um, and yeah, so basically, it's like a really clinical setting, but in a home space,
Right.
right?
Yeah,
In a really
yeah.
homely and familiar and not cold or white. We try to do it more relaxed in that terms. And yeah, but you see a lot of nurses and doctors just in these friendly spaceships, you know?
Yeah. I like that. I like the balance there because, like there's so much to be said about, okay, I mean, ayahuasca, for example, a traditional Peruvian ayahuasca experience in a maloca in the jungle. Okay, that has a very particular energy. Or then, you come up here to the States and you're doing ketamine
Mhm.
or psilocybin therapy, but it's like white coats in a sterile room kind of environment. Those two things are both really polarizing, I think, in different ways. And this sounds like Ambio sounds very much like, hey, how can we kind of marry science and spirit? So it's safe, but you can still kind of have like a metaphysical, like it sounds like you guys are covering a lot of bases really intentionally to the set and setting has been, yeah, very well planned and thought out.
Yes, exactly, Holly. Basically, our slogan is where science meets spirituality. So
Yes.
we're trying to find combine between those two worlds where
Hmm.
they shouldn't be against each other. They should be
Yeah.
combined and compiled. And yeah, the whole goal is to show to the world that we're creating this new method. While these medicines can be provided in a really ethical, professional way, you know,
Hmm.
um, with the largest credentials or standards that we need, but at the same time be provided with love, with caring, with compassion, and with all
Yeah.
these um, things that comes with consciousness. They're super important. We still learning from the medicine, and yeah, I know my experience with Ibogaine was really short. I know we chat a lot about on other things, but I hope this opens a lot more questions on people,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
create like more the proper questions. And if they are seeking to go and do ibogaine treatment somewhere else, just go and seek for a place when you feel comfortable, when you know that you're gonna have medical background,
Hmm.
and when you're gonna, that there is people that has gone there already. So all this information is really important for you to decide where to go and take these medicines, and it's a beautiful medicine, and yeah.
Yeah. I'm sure there'll be people listening that are like you said, the medicine starts working before you even get there. So I imagine there's sparks kind of lighting for some people right now that will be like, oh,
Yes, for sure.
oh, I
Yes, for
gotta look
sure.
into this. That sounds like me. I need that.
Yes, yes, that is correct. Yeah.
Oh, well, thank you so much for sharing all of this today. I think this is super informative. I for one am trying to learn everything I can about this because I just think it's lesser known and so powerful and I just really want people to feel inspired to also learn more and explore. I have one last question for you.
Yes, for
Going
sure.
going back to the top of your story about the woman that you sat with for the first night. Who do you think the man was that was sitting next to you that she saw that you didn't see?
Okay. So along all these years, I've been hearing this a lot from other experience, from most patients' experiences,
Mhm.
and it's just this identity of this African man or African woman being present in the journey, right? Um, I don't know, to be honest. I'm always between science and spirituality, so I'm just gonna open myself. Sometimes I feel like there is information already there in our in our brain, to say, or there in our cells. There is information already there. Um, the IBM probably has access to it that we cannot have access to it, right? And at the other point, I really believe the Ibogaine. They used to say in Gabon, the Ibogaine heals 7 generations back and 7 generations forward. And with a lot of the experiences that we are been hearing with people, some really crazy experiences, um, it seems to be like a time machine that you can travel to your ancestors and heal their wounds, right?
Mm.
So for me, seems like that presence of that African presence seems to be like the beginning of life, the beginning from where we are. And that seems to be Ibogaine, it comes from the part where supposedly humans start migrating and everything. And it seems to be like really the connection to going back to humans again, the plan. So I and then I really like to believe they are the guardians from the boy, and
Yeah, yeah.
I we
That was like my gut thought too. I was like, oh, this is like some sort of like Bwiti elder that's like shepherding the medicine and the experience and kind of like putting a blessing over its use.
I just got
That's what I would think.
yeah, that's what I think too. I just got goosebumps, and yeah, that's
Yeah.
that's how it works and how
Yeah.
that
Ugh.
ancestral intelligence works. Is
Yeah.
beautiful. Yeah.
Oh, well, this feels like a perfect place for us to close out. Thank you so much. This was really great. It's been a pleasure chatting with you.
Thank you so much, Holly, and looking forward to meet you sometime again.
Yeah.